I want to thank you for coming here today so we can update you on the incident that happened yesterday in San Clemente. Yesterday at approximately 1:15 p.m. in the city of San Clemente, we had a deputy-involved shooting that resulted in a fatality. Today I'm going to share with you some of the details around that incident. I can tell you that I'm not going to be able to give you all the details that you may need. This officer-involved shooting, which is customary, is being investigated by the Orange County District Attorney's Office. Interviews of witnesses and deputies have still not been completed, and for that reason I'm not going to talk about details that are either known that might hinder or interrupt that investigation until this is completely over. First and foremost, I want to extend my condolences to the Reinhold family. Any loss of life is always impactful to family members and friends of Mr. Reinhold, and we are truly sorry about what happened and how this unfolded. Yesterday, two of our homeless liaison deputies working within the city of San Clemente encountered Mr. Reinhold at approximately 1:12 p.m. outside the Miramar Hotel. During their contact, a physical altercation occurred. During the physical altercation, Mr. Reinhold grabbed one of the deputies' weapons and appears to have tried to bring it out of the holster. It's not clear from the video if Mr. Reinhold was able to completely unholster the weapon. That will be part of the Orange County District Attorney's Office investigation. The two deputies involved in this incident are an 8-year veteran and a 13-year veteran. Both are assigned as members of the department's homeless outreach team and are assigned as homeless liaison officers. That team is a 25-member team whose primary purpose is to engage with and offer services to those members of our community who are experiencing homelessness. Part of their training includes crisis intervention training, de-escalation, and more. Given the current climate of police-community relations, I understand that this conversation is going to be a difficult one around this incident. I'd ask that those who are entering the narrative to please let the course take its place, let the investigation conclude, and we will be working with, as necessary, the Orange County District Attorney's Office. For those who are coming out into the public, we'd ask that you, if you choose to exercise your First Amendment rights, either in protesting or mourning the loss of Mr. Reinhold, please do so peacefully and in compliance with the law. Earlier today we had some protests that took place within the city of San Clemente. They did result in 5 arrests of individuals there. 4 arrests were for Penal Code Section 148, which is disturbing the peace, not following directives of law enforcement personnel, and 1 arrest for vandalism of a police car. We've seen numerous comments and even the media outlets participating in the dialogue, and some of that has included some misinformation or facts that aren't, information that's not correct. I'd ask that you please refrain from putting out misinformation until the facts can be known. Some of the misinformation does drive a false narrative and actually adds to fuel the fire, if you will, with the relations we're having with our community. I do also want you to know that as the sheriff and within this department, we take these matters very seriously. We will conduct, as we always do in major incidents, a critical incident review. We always look at policy, training, procedures in our review of these incidents, and that will be conducted here as well. And we will do so as transparent as the law allows us to be and make sure that we are forthright in bringing the facts forward. Mr. Reinhold had just for about the last 30 days been a member of the San Clemente community. He is homeless. We have deputies who work down there full time, and their attempt is to have a dialogue, establish a rapport, and then have service offerings. We do know that deputies had offered services to Mr. Reinhold previously, but he was not receptive of those offers. Well, there has been misinformation about some of the observations. Somebody put misinformation out, or at least information wasn't accurate about grabbing a gun, that they didn't see that. It's just, we hope that you can wait until we get through the investigation let the facts determine what in fact happened, where there's still witnesses that have need to be interviewed and other things. So not to be critical, Chip, it's just there's a process. My hope is that we can let the process go through, and we'll do it as quickly as we can, and let the facts determine what occurred, rather than second guessing based on not having complete information. That singular photo, though, does show in a sequence where the individuals, Mr. Reinhold did grab hold of the firearm of one of the deputies. So the first question you ask is, what is the proper way? What we always hope for is to gain compliance. When you look at de-escalation techniques, de-escalation is based on a contract, if you will, with an individual. De-escalation works best if the other person does not escalate. So what we can do is try our best to de-escalate, but it's always contingent upon the other party to be receptive of those de-escalation techniques and to bring it back down, temper it back down. So what you saw in how you described that takedown, it's not something that we want to have happen, but it did, and there's no good way to get on the ground and try to resolve that. I think obviously you want to subdue somebody by using weight, restrain them where necessary, and hope to get them in compliance, and that might be with handcuffs. And when you have somebody's handcuffed, obviously their hands are no longer a threat. That's always the goal, is to control the hands. As you can see when the video is released, you'll see it was a significant struggle with Mr. Reinhold that went on for some time. And the deputy did state 4 different times he's got my gun on 4 separate occasions. And that was confirmed with at least one video I saw that was independently provided by a witness, where he acknowledged hearing the deputy say he's got my gun. So the question Paul asked is, do I know any background on Mr. Reinhold? I do, but I don't. It would be unfair to Mr. Reinhold to share some of his past history. I don't want to make it sound like I'm justifying the actions that occurred by Mr. Reinhold's past. We do know he was homeless. We do know he'd been in different parts of the state. But as far as criminal history or those types of things or his behavior, I really think it's a disservice to the memory of Mr. Reinhold to share those things about him. We do know he's homeless, and our hearts go out to those who are experiencing homelessness.